I can't bring this up.
You can tell everyone.
Hi, Dave.
How are you?
Tell
Good, how are
everyone that
you?
you can dial in now.
For those that are watching on YouTube, if you'd like to dial in, you could dial in now. When you do dial in, please mute your phones, please. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting is provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are neither electronic, amplifying, and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. We request all those that wish to speak be recognized and state your name and address. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison,
Present.
Mr. Owens,
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs,
Present.
Mrs. Winters,
Present.
Mr. Vignon,
Here.
Mrs. Strato,
Here.
Mr. Mercado,
Present.
Mr. Carlemere,
Here.
Mr. Cardis,
Here.
Mr. Lechner,
He's excused.
Chief Harkins,
Here.
Mr. Chadwell.
He's excused as well. We now have our first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time, only if it adds to what was previously stated. There's a 15-minute time period for the public portion. Any speaker is permitted 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone for the public portion? On agenda items only.
Good evening, President Mercado, Paul Crew.
Mr. Crew, good evening.
Hope all of you are well. I have a procedural question as it pertains to the first public portion. Is that okay to ask during this time?
Sure. Yes.
Thank you. I want to tie this to the previous council meetings, the first meeting of this month. The first public portion, in between that and the resolutions, there's about 90 to 120 seconds in between citizens speaking and council taking their vote. And as it pertains to the last council meeting, 4 members of Gloucester Township citizenry expressed issue with a line of credit, making suggestions of a tiered approach and additional oversight by the legislative branch of government of the funds and how they're spent. I would find it difficult to conduct a cost-benefit analysis in that 120 seconds between the public portion and the resolution vote, as well as to evaluate whether or not oversight by the legislator was deemed valid based on these suggestions and discussion from the citizens. Does that seem like a fair point?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm a little confused about your question, Paul. Are you making a statement or is it a question? Or I don't. There wasn't enough time to discuss. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think 4 members of the citizens of Gloucester Township had an opportunity to speak, but I'm suggesting that potentially the time in between the public portion and the vote on the resolution doesn't give proper time frame for which to conduct a critical analysis of what the public is bringing up, their disagreements or suggestions. And there's literally about a 2 to 3 minute gap between the first public portion and the vote on the resolutions.
But it's not the governing body's first time seeing that.
I'm not sure if you heard Mr. Carlemere. Mr. Carlemere,
It's really not the first time the governing body has an opportunity to deliberate among themselves, in a sense, individually, as to analyzing what that resolution is. We look at it prior to, we get the agenda in advance. They know coming out of work sessions what is anticipated for the meetings, and these kind of things, they have already had an opportunity to digest it. It's not the first time that they're seeing it.
Certainly, and I appreciate that, but doesn't the public's response, suggestions, deliberations need to be taken into account in a more critical and meaningful way, other than the 2 to 3 minutes in between the first public portion and the vote on the resolutions?
well, there's always an opportunity. You've attended our workshop meeting. We didn't have a workshop meeting this past for the month of April, but there's more in-depth conversations that take place during our workshop meetings. And yes, we received several suggestions at all of our meetings regarding certain topics and resolutions. And if we sat here and deliberated, sometimes things may not get done. So I thank you for your comments. Your public portion time is up. If we have more time, we'll come back to you, Mr. Krug.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Krug, do you have anything else to add?
No, I would just appreciate if you could review that suggestion. I understand in normal circumstances, maybe it's something that could be brought up during the working session. And I appreciate that a lot of deliberation goes on between council members prior to the meeting. But, when the public is there and they do express some disagreement or give their suggestions, and then quickly a vote happens, it can feel like maybe the proper critical analysis of the public portion wasn't given its due time.
All right, well, thank you very much. With that, we'll close the public portion. Resolutions, we have a resolution consent agenda. Any council member that would like to have any item removed from the consent agenda, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Strato. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs,
Yes.
Mrs. Winters,
Yes.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Strato. Yes. Mr. Mercado.
Yes. We did receive a GT eGov access email. It actually came after our last meeting from John Moyer at 424 Jefferson Court, Glendora, New Jersey, 08029. His question for council, and it's just a one-word question: why? I have no idea what that pertains to, but I will send Mr. Moyer an email to follow up on his question, why?
Mr. President, on the consent agenda, I missed
Okay.
a bill that I need to abstain on. So for resolution authorizing payments of bill R2004-090, PO number 20-01883, invoice 472430, invoice 4188, invoice 418433, 418434. I have to abstain. My apologies for missing that.
Thank you, Mr. Owens.
Thank you.
We can note that, clerk. I appreciate it.
Move it, thank you.
We'll now open up our second public portion. This is for any item the public chooses to address council. Anyone addressing council may speak at one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time. This is a 30-minute time period, and each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak in the second public portion?
Paul Krug again.
Mr. Krug, good evening again.
Good evening again. Follow up from previous meeting with regard to a suggestion I made about potentially removing fees, waiving fees and penalties for small businesses in the township to help support them during this time. Was that taken up by council?
Not as a whole. Mr. Cardis, is there anything that you can add? I know you've worked with the Division of Local Government on these particular matters and the waiving of fees and penalties. Can you comment on that?
I don't know because I don't know what particular fees Mr. Crew is referring to.
Mr. Krug, you referring to taxes?
Yes, if they're past due, maybe on taxes.
No, you do not have permission to waive.
I don't think your mic's on.
It is.
Oh, okay.
No, you do not have permission to waive taxes. You do not have permission to extend the due date. That was the jurisdiction of the Division of Local Government Services. My understanding that there was a bill that passed the Assembly but did not pass the Senate, empowering the Division of Local Government Services to extend the due date. So that remains intact. And you cannot waive taxes, no.
Penalties and fees.
Penalties, and the penalties for taxes that are delinquent can be adjusted. It's heavily, it's regarded as not advisable to do so by the New Jersey League of Municipalities, by the Tax Collectors and Treasurers Association. It is extremely complicated. It will definitely cause a cash flow issue for us and for the schools and for the county. And it's a very difficult process that no one has really embarked on yet. So I would advise you, just as the Tax Collectors Treasurers Association and the New Jersey League of Municipalities has advised, not to make any adjustments to the interest payments.
Thank you, Mr. Cardis.
I was able to pick up on most of that. Mr. Curtis is a little bit hard to hear, but I appreciate his explanation and can certainly understand. Is there anything, obviously the federal government is doing quite a bit to help our small businesses. Is there anything that can happen at the county or township level to help our small businesses?
Mr. Cardis, have we enacted anything or addressed anything for our small businesses?
No, not to my knowledge. Most of what we've got is coming down from the federal level.
It's coming from the federal level? Okay.
Council President?
Yes.
Can we instruct the administration or ask the administration to keep an eye out on any other jurisdictions of the 566 municipalities that are looking to do what Mr. Krug is suggesting? That way, we don't know everything. Maybe somebody else is doing something better.
Okay.
And the chief just did remind me that we are looking at several grant areas that we're making some applications to, and I'm not sure particularly where those areas are focused, but I believe it's FEMA.
So what I'm aware of is some teleconferences that we're arranging at the mayor's office, because I've been involved. We have a conference call tomorrow. Tom and I are on with the grant provider Triad, and there's soon to be coming, from what I understand, a teleconference for all our small businesses through the EDC, the Gloucester Township EDC, that will be coordinating to help small businesses get directed to where to get these federal and state grant programs. We're helping them move along with that.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Krug, is there anything else?
I just wanted to make sure I heard Chief Harkins there correctly. There's currently being planned a call with the BDC and Triad Associates for our small businesses that will be providing information about the federal programs. Did I hear that correctly?
That's correct, and resources that may be available to them.
Okay, great. That's excellent to hear. Do I have additional time?
Mr. Owens is our timekeeper.
We got
Yeah, 16 seconds.
10 seconds.
Okay. I had a couple of law enforcement questions. I can go ahead and let someone else speak because it'll probably be a little bit longer than 10 seconds.
Okay. We'll come back to you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the public portion? Hearing none, we'll go back to Mr. Krug and then wrap up the public portion. Mr. Krug, you have 5 more minutes.
Great. Thank you, President. Good evening, Chief Harkins. First of all, thank you and the police department for the support of the healthcare workers and hospitals in the area. Very nice to see that. I get your newsletter emails from Gloucester Township PD, and I had noticed a couple of close to my area, one of which was from April 15th of this year, a media release about 2 trespassers arrested for possession of loaded firearms and narcotics. I believe this happened at the Howard Johnson Hotel. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was either earlier this year or late last year, an officer had an incident at that same hotel where a car began to move and he was dragged a little bit of a way. Is that hotel a consistent problem area? And if so, is it being addressed in such a way that maybe we could get it out of that particular designation?
So, as with any hotels, from the intelligence that I see countywide, transient people come and go. These people were not from our town. The hotel was 100% cooperative. In fact, they tipped us off to these 2 people. Basically, someone rented a room. The renter left the room and left these 2 guys in the room. Cleaners went in to get it, and they saw that they were armed, and they refused to leave the room. So the hotel cooperated 100%. So one incident, again, doesn't really have anything to do with the other. Where the officer got injured, they were just in the parking lot around that area, that they weren't even checked into the hotel. I wouldn't say that it's any more a trouble spot. Any hotel, in my experience, has people coming and going, has its share of problems. However, overall, as a percentage of our crime, it's still very low that happens there. We're well aware of the situation. We're constantly running operations, and we are getting assistance from the management regularly. They'll call and tip us if they think that somebody shouldn't be there. So I would not recommend taking any other action other than our continued enforcement operations.
Okay, I appreciate your continued enforcement, and very glad to hear that the hotel is working with us. The other media release that caught my eye was in regards to a drug house being dismantled in the Blackwood Arts District. The Blackwood Art District is very close to my heart, so of course I'm happy to see this, although I didn't realize that this type of activity was happening in downtown Blackwood, so that's a bit disheartening, especially with the amount of different drug categorizations that are listed here. Anything to know about this particular incident, or maybe you can enlighten me if there's a problem in downtown Blackwood? Is there further extent to this, or was this a one-off?
To my recollection with that, it was a person renting a room there. There is no regular problem there. I'd like to use this. We surgically cut it out.
before he got entrenched there. Very proud of our special investigations unit that when they get information in particular areas that they can make a good case on, we put our resources there with our federal, our county, and our state partners, whatever it takes, and we were able to dismantle them. So under those circumstances with that case, I'm proud to say that we cut them out. They're no longer located at that location, and we try to send a message to the other ones that move on to another town, and that is often very effective. So I would say that Blackwood, downtown Blackwood, the Arts District is a very safe area, somewhere that I bring my family and to businesses and restaurants in that area, and it's very close to my heart as well.
Yeah, I appreciate your department's very hard work there, and I know businesses and community members also believe that. One last question, if you don't mind, just in regards to one more media release. This was in...
Mr. Cruz, your time's up. I'm going to give you a minute or two, and then we're going to wrap it up, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you, President. This was in regards to Township Police Officer, I believe his name was John Flynn, who had been suspended because of being found guilty, I believe, of assault of a 13-year-old girl. The media release had said suspended. Was the officer removed from the force after being found guilty?
So that media release was done by the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, was investigated and tried. At this time, his judicial process, his due process has not been completed. So, and I can't comment on personnel issues. The issue is it has not been adjudicated through the court system completely at this time, so I can't comment any more about it.
Okay. I appreciate the transparency in a matter like this. To me, that shows a great amount of professionalism. So I very much appreciate that and hope it will continue as the process plays out. Of course, I thank you for your great work. I thank council for the time this evening, and I hope everybody stays safe and healthy.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the second public portion. Polling the directors.
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Chief Harkins?
Only that we continue to get great support from the community. We're operating at a very proficient level at this time. No effects anymore from COVID-19 of our officers. The support that we're getting, again, it's kind of overwhelming. Food donation, we had donations today of cleaning supplies from Lowe's, and I can't hardly keep track. I'm doing letters thanking people, so it's greatly appreciated. It's a great community.
Mr. Hutchison?
Just want to thank all the essential workers for their continued efforts and thank the residents for staying at home.
Mr. Owens?
Thanks for joining us tonight online and on the phone. As always, Chief, thanks to you and your police department men and women who are serving and protecting us every day and putting themselves into harm's risk. Along with all of our first responders and our public works folks, there are a couple storms these past couple of weeks, and they've been out there clearing the brush and making sure the roads are passable, and still taking care of our trash recycling and all other. Tom, thanks for your leadership and all of our public works folks. The essential workers out there, from our bread delivery drivers to those working at the gas station, supermarkets, delivery drivers in general. They are, again, keeping the economy going. And all residents and businesses that continue to donate, not only to the police department, but to all the first responders, to the hospitals around here. It really is truly a community effort. And that's what makes me proud to be a resident right here in Gloucester Township, to see everyone truly coming together. keep practicing social distancing. The curve is flattening. If you keep watching the news and all the reports, so it's working. It'll take some more time, but keep doing what we're doing. It's very important if we want to see things start moving along. Lastly, don't inject or drink bleach or any household cleaner. Can't believe we have to say this, but you may hear it from others out there. It's dangerous. It doesn't do anything. Stay safe. I'm sure the chief and our hospitals do not want to hear calls from residents saying they are getting sick based on what they hear in the news media. Other than that, be safe out there and thank those that are keeping everyone safe and our teachers.
Mrs. Stubbs?
I appreciate all of our first responders and everyone who's working hard out there. We're all working together to get through this. Chief Harkins, always amazed at how our police department just continues to rise to the occasion. And it's just great. You feel safe, you feel comfortable. Everyone's working together, staying inside. And let's just, I pray that we all continue to support each other as we have until this is done.
Mrs. Winters?
I'd like to thank the first responders from the township.
Michelle, are you there?
Mr. Mignon?
All right, I think I'll finish Michelle's statement. Thank you to all the first responders and the essential employees, especially the ones in Gloucester Township. And thank you to all the residents who are going through this little minor house arrest. Unfortunately, it is important to, as Scott had alluded to earlier, flatten the curve and keep everybody safe. So stay strong, GT. We're going to get through this hopefully sooner rather than later. But unfortunately, we're going through these tough times. We'll manage. Thank you.
Strato?
I echo everything that was said before me. Thank you to everyone for what you're doing to keep all of us safe and being able to provide food on our table every week. So thank you to everyone.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone who dialed in or is viewing us online. Please continue keeping our Gloucester Township residents in your thoughts and prayers. Please check out the township's Facebook page, if you can, daily, and the website for updates. There are things that are happening every day. Please check that out. If you're having issues paying your electric bill or your gas bill, so the two utilities, South Jersey Gas, PSE&G, and Atlantic Electric, I have received communication from all three of them that to contact their customer service and have a discussion with them. In addition to that, anyone who's having any issues with unemployment claims, it's been documented that our state of New Jersey's portal was a 40-year-old system. Today, during our 3 o'clock conference call, Assemblywoman Mosquera had indicated that last year in the state of New Jersey, the total amount of claims was about 84,000. This year, since March 15th, it's 850,000 plus claims have been filed. If you have an issue with your claim and it is not going forward, and you need an update or a status on it, contact the Assemblywoman's office. She's located at 1329 Chews Landing Road. That phone number is 401-3073. That's 401-3073, and that's Assemblywoman Mosquera's office if you have any issues with Department of Labor unemployment claims. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, Mr. President. Mrs. Winters wants to say something.
Oh, she's back.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, sorry about that. I had a little technical difficulty with my phone. So I do want to say thank you to all the first responders in Gloucester Township, and a special thank you to the Gloucester Township Police for participating in the motorcades at the hospitals. As most of you know, I do work at one of the Camden hospitals, and I had worked an 11-hour day after 2 emergencies at the end of the day. Went out to my car and I happened to see the motorcade, and it was an amazing thing to see. And seeing the Gloucester Township Police participate in that just gave me an extra moment of pride. It is appreciated by all the hospital workers, it just kind of gives them that little boost to keep on going because it can be really tough some days. We're not too bad in my hospital, but it's still a strain on the entire system. So I do want to say an extra thank you. Also support your small businesses, in town. They're struggling as we all are. And I just ask everyone to please stay home and be patient and be safe. Anyone going out right now, especially without masks on or doing all those things and not social distancing, is risking not only themselves, but they're risking everyone else, including the healthcare providers. So I ask you just to please be safe and be patient. We will get back to normal, but it's going to take some time. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Have a great evening.
Good night, Andrea. You're welcome. Talk to you soon.